I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Very good. Roll call.
Mr. Ramos?
Here.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
What if we just go into the nurse's office? Mr. Perrin?
Here, item 1D, approval of minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of May the 12th, 2020 of the regular meeting. I'll entertain a motion to do that, Mr. Lindman.
Mr. President, I move to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Ramos. Any discussion regarding the minutes? Roll call.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Perrin?
Yes. Item E, summary of current events. Ms. Samaniego.
You're muted.
I was having tech difficulty with my computer, so I'm having to use another device. So we have a few things going on. First of all, I'd like to recognize our DUSD Spelling Bee champion, Alan Miramontes. He is a fifth grader at, or am I getting ahead of myself? Let me see.
No.
Oh, that's fine.
You're right.
And so Ray Miramontes, is he on, Alma?
No, Diego is.
Okay, Diego is. Okay. So I want to show you the trophy. Can you see it, Alma?
No, I see you.
Okay. We have a trophy for both kids, and it says DUSD Spelling Bee champion Alan Miramontes. We will make sure that he gets the here it is.
Yes, now we see it.
For Alan Miramontes, and he is our fifth grader at Clausen. And next we have our DUSD Spelling Bee runner-up, Diego Duarte. He is a sixth grader at Paul Huber Middle School, and this is the trophy that we will be awarding Diego. Both students will receive their trophies, I believe, sometime this week. Mrs. Mariscal will deliver the trophies to the students. In addition to these two winners, all of our competitors will receive a recognition too, and they get a little spelling bee medal, I believe, and that's what Mrs. Nicole Mariscal will award all of the participants. So that's our spelling bee. Next, I have what I'm calling Hero Awards, and our Hero Awards are going to be given out to our support staff that has been working alongside children since day one when we opened up our school for distance learning, and obviously all of the instruction was online. And because it was online, we needed to open up our schools for our safe learning spaces. And so every school has been welcoming kids since the very beginning. At some point, an elementary could have had 90 some students show up. Another school could have had 50. Another school could have had 100. And so because the children were not able to go into teachers' classrooms, somebody needed to provide support, supervision while these students were attending school, and the individuals who assisted the students were our support staff. And so we have a total of 87 instructional support staff, and these are IAs at every campus that will be receiving our Hero Award, and they will be given a certificate. It is 87 people from all the schools, in addition to other support staff members from Douglas High School who are not IAs but served in that capacity in the learning spaces. And so it's a lot of names to read off of, but I'm going to be sending them all an individual thank you letter, and they're going to be receiving our Hero Certificate Award. So I really would like to recognize our instructional support staff for being outstanding with our children that have attended school since day one. Next, on our current events, just want to remind everybody that our schools will be open for in-person learning starting on March 15th. And that is at all 8 schools. Douglas High School is the only school that is following that A and B hybrid plan with 2 days of instruction in person and 3 days of online. And the other schools will do the 4 days of instruction and 1 day of online via the hybrid model. In all, we have a total of, about 5. I'm going to give you the numbers for those students that will be attending in person, just for your information. So on Clawson Elementary, we will have 160 kids showing up for in person. Ferris Elementary, 51 students. Joe Carlson, 167. Sarah Marley, 51. Stevenson, 124. Paul Huber, 138. Ray Bahrain, 134, and Douglas High School, 244 students. Those are the in-person, and the rest of the student population that is enrolled will remain online. And governing board members and community, I just want you to understand that parents had over a 2-week period, to be honest, of filling out the surveys that we sent out so that they could make a decision, and the best informed decision, whether to keep their children at home or send them to school. We did have many of our families that never filled out the attendance form in order to notify every school what their decision was. So if a family didn't fill it out, that student will have to remain online. And that was the only way that we could really work with the numbers that we were receiving so that the schools could be prepared. The teachers knew exactly how many students, and because it is a safety concern and, related to COVID, we didn't want to overdo it with some of the classrooms. And so with these numbers and the opportunities that parents had to fill out the attendance form, we feel that we gave them every opportunity to make that decision. So schools, again, will be open for in-person starting on the 15th. And that is all I have for now.
Okay, backing up a little bit on behalf of the board, we want to congratulate the Spelling Bee individuals and also the hero recipients. And to be clear, Mrs. Samaniego, what's the enrollment at Douglas High School?
At Douglas High School, I have about almost 8 kids.
I'm sorry, how many?
About 800. Let me do the math here. Alma, do you have hold on by any?
The enrollment for Douglas High School is 1,441.
Why am I only
And
getting?
so,
Go ahead.
okay, and
You're muted, Mr. Brewing. Mr. Breen. You're muted, Mr. Breen.
I'm sorry. How many opted to come back out of the number that Alma just gave?
200
Out of 1,400 students?
240.
Okay. All right. Members of the board, although it's not open for discussion because they're reports as such, if you have any comments regarding any of the information that was just given by Ms. Samaniego, we can certainly do that under your reports a little bit later as an observation report regarding that information she gave. All right. So it's that time now for governing board members. So do any of the governing board members have any type of report that they want to make? Dr. Gomez, Mr. Lindemann, Mr. Ramos, Ms. Salchow. Ms. Salchow, okay, I went in the order that you're on the screen. And we have a lot of people on the screen that aren't board members, so it's I had to kind of pick and choose here. Item F, reports. Garrick, under ex officio, do you have anything to report?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Good evening, Superintendent, Mr. President, members of the board, staff, and community members. This month at Douglas High School, Student Council and the Film Club are working together to make a welcome back video for students who are returning in person following spring break. And all but one of the HOSA teams at Douglas High School qualified for their state competition. And athletics have started tryouts. That is all I have to report. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Gary, just out of curiosity, are you one that opted to go back on campus?
Yes, I'll be going back on campus.
Very good. And while you're there, will you be conducting any type of leadership programs or any governmental classes like student council and things of that nature? Will you guys be doing things like that?
Yes, we'll still be doing some student council activities. Most of them will remain virtual. I believe that we're still meeting virtually to accommodate for the student members that are remaining online. But yes, we will be working with the people on campus to host spirit days and things like that.
Very good. All right, very good. All right, let's move on to business reports. Mr. Soto.
Good evening, Mr. President, board members, Mr. Maniego, and community. The budget report for the month of February, you have it in front of you. This report is already showing the cut that we had for the 5% for the from the state for not being on traditional. So that budget amount is cut 1.2 million. And as you can see, we still have some balance remaining that is not encumbered, and that's mainly because of the vacancies we haven't filled. I know there's a few vacancies that you guys are going to approve today, and that's just so we can be prepared for coming back on after spring break. Any specific questions you might have on that report?
Is that the totality of the report? Is that your full report?
Yes, sir.
Well, let me ask you on behalf of the board. We're at that time of the year. What are we doing in consideration of teacher salaries?
We're still working on that. Actually, tomorrow there's going to be a webinar that talks about the funding that we're going to be receiving for next year and how much we're going to get per student and all of that. Just as FYI, I've been in contact with most of the districts here in Southern Arizona, and most of those districts are gonna start issuing contracts with no increases whatsoever. I am pretty confident that we're gonna have enough money in the carryover to do something. I'm working on some numbers that I might be able to do 1% or 2% for certified. Remember that for sure, we have to do something for classified because of the increase in minimum wage that happened in January, and there's another one coming this following January. So I'm still working on those numbers. Once I have more solid information and projections, definitely we'll let you know. So most likely on our next board meeting, I'm going to have some numbers to run by you and some recommendations.
Do you remember that last year the board was concerned about the sustainability of the increase that was given last year? And that was a primary concern when we did that, whether it was going to be able to be carried out. Yeah, but we're talking about the sustainability plus an added 1 or 2%.
Correct. That whatever we offer, we gave the employees last year is still the same. It's going to remain the same, and then on top of that will be the 1 or 2%. Yeah.
Okay, that's great, because we want to make sure we do all we can. Members of the board, Dr. Gomez, do you have any questions regarding the business report? Mr. Lindeman. Mr. Lindeman?
He doesn't have anything.
He doesn't have any. He's muted. I think Dr. Gomez. And let's see, Ms. Salchow. Ms. Salchow, any questions?
No, not at this time.
Okay, Mr. Ramos?
No.
Okay. All right, moving on to item number 3, human resources and student enrollments. Mrs. Cox.
Good afternoon, everyone. So in HR, we're working hard to ensure that we have all of the staff in place that are needed in order to open up our schools on March 15th. We want to be prepared for that. So you will notice on the agenda that we have that we're requesting some positions for hire. In enrollment at this time, we have 3,813 students, 78 of those which are preschool. And that's all I have for. And then spring break, of course, is coming up, so everybody's looking forward to that. Teachers and staff. You're muted.
Mr. Bergen, you're muted.
I'm sorry, Dr. Gomez, do you have any questions regarding that report?
He doesn't.
Mr. Lindeman.
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Alchow.
No questions at this time. Thank you.
Mr. Ramos.
None.
Item number 4, Douglas High School new construction update, and I would imagine, Mr. Soto, you're going to do that?
We do have the architect, Mr. Rob Borheimer, and Alan Levin and Charlie Bowers from E-Estimating Plus that are going to do the presentation. They're connected already.
Okay, I saw another gentleman, and I think he was also affiliated with them, and I don't see him on the screen anymore. Was there a third person that was with those two individuals?
There's actually 4 of them, but there's three windows that you can see. One is Alan, the other one is Charlie, and Rob and Robin are on one.
Okay. All right, and let me just turn it over to them. And if gentlemen, if you'd give the board an update on what's happening, we'd appreciate it. So go ahead.
Good evening. Alan, do you want to put are we going to put the PowerPoint up?
I don't know, since Marco's arranged the PowerPoint.
Yes, it's going to be going up.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, let me just I'm Rob Bergheimer, I'm the architect, and I have Robin Benning with me. He's my partner in charge on this project. And obviously we have Charlie and Alan from the program managers that we're working with. And so we have a presentation and we're going to show you where we are, kind of what's been accomplished so far and what we have to go to keep going on in the project.
Just go ahead and just move along. Just move along independently.
Well, I have a PowerPoint that we're waiting for here to come up.
Okay. Marco's going to share his screen so you can see the PowerPoint.
Okay, I can't see it on my end.
He's probably working on it. If you just give us a couple seconds for him to be able to share it.
Yeah, he's trying to share it with the public and with the attendees. Okay. Can you see it now?
Go back one slide. There you go. Go back one more. Okay, that's good. Okay. All right, cover slide it up. Okay, great. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Marco. We appreciate it. Okay, so here's the cover slide. This is our team. Schedule architecture. I'm Rob Bergheimer. I'm the architect, and Robin Benny is with me. Next slide on this. Status update on the project. Just to remind everybody, we decided way back that we're going to do 4 separate standalone buildings on site. We have to, by state statutes and SFB requirements, we have to build 87,504 square feet. We're going to be taking the area that the site is going to be on is where the practice fields are north of the site. Some of the issues that we had to resolve are the stormwater retention issues as part of that project. And we're going to be providing new circulation for students and bus pickup and drop off as part of our mandate of what we're doing. As you can see on the slide here are the 2 colored elevations of the project, the east elevation and the west, which are the 2 principal sides that you'll be seeing. Next slide. Here's a quick overall site plan of the project. As you can see, we're into working drawings right now, and so we're going to be redesigning the north fields, and we're going to be reconfiguring the ball fields, the practice fields for JV and for PE. Just north of the gym will be a new parking lot, and just to the east of the gym area and just north of Building K is going to be the new campus area that we're building. As part of that, there's going to be a new plaza area that will come down from the north, which will serve as a student plaza area, and will also serve as a fire lane for emergency vehicles. And then we're going just to the north of our building. Our project is going to be a driveway bus lane area where we'll have bus traffic that will be dropping students off just north of our project. And that'll be connecting Eddy and Escalante Avenue. So we are going to be demoing 1 district building, and we're going to be taking out the portable buildings that are currently just north of K, I believe. Next slide. This is kind of a sketch of the new entry area as you come in off the plaza area. So we're going to have a nice entry feature that will be as you come into the complex, the building complex. This is kind of a sketch of what it's going to look like. Next slide. This is building R, which is the student commons building. This is where we're going to take the cafeteria. We're going to move the student cafeteria over to the new building. So we're going to call it a commons. So when it's not in use, it's going to be a student gathering area. So we have a new kitchen area in the back, which will be to the east, a new serving area and line area for students to receive meals. And then we're going to have a large student dining area that will be able to accommodate a third of the student population. So we're also going to put a new program. We're going to have a technology self-help desk that'll be in the corner. We're going to have student functions located in this building. So we're going to put the counseling and guidance department in this building that'll oversee the commons area, but will also be adjacent where the students are located. They'll also have a satellite location for the bookstore so that students can get items that they need for day-to-day activities. Next slide. This is kind of a quick sketch of the inside of the commons area. It's going to have a raised ceiling and natural light to the north. We're going to have a large glass door that will be opened up so that we can open up in nice days. We can have indoor, outdoor activities where people can come and go in and out of the building. We're going to have exposed structural system in the ceiling. We're going to have a really colorful mechanical system, which is it's called a duct sock that will go across the space, and we're going to have an area where we can also do a large student gathering area where we can do a lecture hall in there as well. So if you do a class elections or student council or something like that, we could seat students in this space, multi-purpose space. Next slide. This is building S. This is the area where we're going to have special education. The nurse is going to be located in this building. We're going to have a new program, black box lecture hall, which can be used for a future drama space. We're going to bring arts in here, art department in here, and primarily special ed. We're also going to have a security office as well. This will be facing the gym area, the east of the gym. Next slide. This is kind of a picture of what the black box is going to look like. It's a multi-purpose space that can be used for lecturing and drama, dance recitals, things like that. So it's a multi-purpose space. There'll be a grid on the ceiling where lights can be clipped. It can be flexibly and turned from lecture to a stage performance to a music concert, choir, things like that. We're also going to have the Healthy Lifestyles weight room that we're going to move from the district building to the building S. Next slide. I'm sorry, building T. Building T will have will also house CTE. So we'll have visual arts, graphic arts, engineering, radio, TV, law enforcement, and we're going to have a new program, which is construction technology is going to be over there as well. Next slide. This is building V, which is the main classroom building that we're going to have. We're going to have 16 classroom, standard classrooms. We're going to have 12 science labs that we'll be adding into here. We'll have 2 chemistry rooms that are dedicated for chemistry use. Next slide. Here's a kind of a typical interior sketch of what the inside is going to look like. We're going to have a cloud hanging in front of the classroom with 2 marker boards. There'll be windows with natural light. We'll have student desks and a teaching station and a lectern in each classroom, as well as a mobile storage device in each room. Next slide. This is kind of what the inside of the hallways on the main classroom building is going to look like. It's going to be exposed ceilings with we're going to have suspended acoustical clouds that are going to hang in the corridors, and it's going to the floor is going to be exposed concrete. The walls will be chipboard painted. We're going to do some super graphics on the walls. And so we'll be talking a little bit about that later, but the idea is it's going to be a fairly dynamic space with indirect lighting. Next slide. Here's on the upper left-hand side there, you can kind of see what the acoustic clouds are going to look like. That's kind of a visual of a project that we did. Kind of showing you what that will look like. The center picture is showing you what the duck socks are going to look like in the cafeteria. gives you an idea of what that space is going to look like with exposed structure. We're going to have polished concrete floors that are going to be sealed, so you can kind of get an idea of what that's going to look like. And in the workout room, Healthy Lifestyles, we're going to have these big fans that are going to be in there for air movement as well. Next slide. Our exterior treatment is going to be primarily EIFS or synthetic stucco, but we are going to have accent walls with metal panels. And we're going to use a product called Nichi-High. It's a composite product. It's basically looks like wood, but it lasts forever. So it's got a really high durability rate. It's fairly inexpensive. So we're going to bring some natural materials into the project. So we're going to have these Nichi-High panels are going to be used as a kind of an accent. And then we're going to have exposed metal panels. We have some different textures that we're going to be exploring as well. Next slide. The roof system that we're going to use, one of the concepts on this project is trying to meet the budget that we've been given. The team is really thought out on the box and how to make this project work within the budget that we've been given. And one of the things that we discovered is going with a pre-engineered system is the way to go. And so the team has negotiated with a vendor on pricing on this project. And so they're going to be providing the roofing system, the wall framing, all the structural components of the building, and that price has already been pre-negotiated with them. But we're going to be using this panel. It's a standing seam concealed fastener system. So it's going to be an all-metal roof system that should last a lifetime. So very exciting to do that. That's part of the metal building system, pre-engineered system. Next slide. You won't see that except for a couple applications. We do have some exposed applications, and they're going to be the same red color as the campus. So we have a couple of areas that we've got sloped roofs that are exposed, and those will be exposed in the same color. The rest of it will not be exposed. It'll be in a floor pit.
Should I take over from here, Rob?
Go ahead, Alan.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. So we just want to give you an idea of the program as far as schedule is concerned. All of the drawings will be ready to submit to the City of Douglas for permitting in the next couple of days. They'll also go simultaneously to the County Health Department, the SFB, the Fire Marshal, and we'll be beginning the whole process from that point in time. Just to give you an idea of the way that this thing is going to play out is hopefully we'll get some feedback from the city, give or take about 3 to 4 weeks from the time we submit it to them. At that stage, if there's no major changes, we'll submit immediately to the SFB for what they call their final MAG approval, which takes a couple of weeks. And that brings us roughly to the end of April, where we'll be actually sending out all of the drawings for bids. In the meantime, we're actually working with all of the 5 contractors that are going to be bidding, and we're going to be sending out a full set of interim drawings to them at probably Monday this coming week, so that they can actually start with their work and start helping us with some value engineering. We hope that if we get it out for bids at the end of April, that we should, by the end of May, be able to select a low bidder. And at the end of May, we then put that through to the SFB. They have to unfortunately approve that contractor. If everything goes according to plan and we're within budget allocated by the SFB, and they get this into a hearing within the first week of the month, then we should have approval from them approximately by mid-June. And we schedule a groundbreaking at that stage in time for right around the end of June. We anticipate that the completion should be right around the end of the first quarter of 2022. We're thinking about 8 or 9 months of actual construction time. So that kind of gives you a sense of where we're at as far as when we'll be starting. And if in the event that we're unfortunately going to be coming in with higher bids to the SFB than what they've allowed us, that could unfortunately have a little bit of a delay. They would then have to go to legislation. We're hearing in the meantime that they are recognizing that the funds that they've allocated are definitely on the low side. They know that they are. And we have a vague idea that they will be, in fact, making available some extra funds. Right as of now, we have about $13.5 million for actual construction. We have a total price of about $16.5 million. The other $3 million being for furniture, for computers, and for the general soft costs that go with getting the plans up to speed and approved and going through all the construction inspections. As far as the furniture is concerned, they have allowed us or allocated us an SFB number of about $500,000. We have gone ahead and selected furniture that kind of fits within that budget. It's tight, but I think we'll be able to put some very, very nice furniture into the classrooms and into the other rooms. Each teacher will have a lectern as well as a desk, and we're talking about some nice quality desks and chairs. So that we've had a price already put forward to us, a proposal. It's into Anna right now for approval from the teachers to make sure that they're happy with everything. We have another $500,000 allocated for computers. We think we're okay on that. The one thing I'd like to stress is that we've made very, very sure to be careful as we go along. We know it's your wish and desire that we don't have any change orders, and that's what we're working towards. A, we don't have the money, and B, it gets ugly when you do have change orders. So we've been working very carefully. The design team are checking the work as they go along to make sure that we don't find any sort of change orders at a later date. As Rob mentioned to you, the SFB approved us doing a steel package and negotiating a design and a price ahead of time. We truly think that this is going to be a significant saving from two standpoints. One, getting to hold the price at certainly a lower level than what it would have been if we would have gone out to bid at a later stage. And secondly, we're very confident that using steel is the way to go to save money. For example, 1,000 board feet of timber has gone up to $1,000, which is literally the highest timber has ever been in this country. It literally doubled in price in the last 3 months. So we feel like we made the right selection as far as choosing the steel package is concerned. We do have some alternate sources of money that hopefully we have up our sleeves. We have the adjacent way money where there's about $212,000 set aside, which we hope to use for the roadway that goes across the east to the west on the north side of the property, as well as the roadway or the driveway coming into the concourse where the students will be gathering. We also have an approved elevation of the pad. The SFB have already, we've worked with them. We will have hopefully about an extra $175,000 because of extraordinary site conditions where we have to lift the pad. So we've got a few bits and pieces over here that we can get some extra money. I don't want to go into further details. We know that there is still tucked away in the SFB $3 million, which they haven't allocated to us, but technically they did set aside for the school if it was going to be built on a separate property, and we're still going to go back to them and see if that's something that we can maybe consider. We're also cautiously optimistic that the SFB might be increasing the actual amount that's been allocated for construction. Everything's a little up in the clouds at the moment. We're anticipating that there's going to be some significant changes at the SFB right around about June of this year, and hoping and praying that they're going to give us a little bit more money. We think one way or the other that even though we've used a simplistic design using the steel, that it's really going to give us a very, very nice building for the kids. And we sure as heck want to get this thing built and not run out of money. So we're hoping that SFB is going to be sympathetic and work with us. That's about all that I had to report on over here. Be happy to take any questions from anybody at this stage.
Before we do that, is that the extent of the presentation, Ms. Samaniego?
Yes, Mr. Burke.
Okay, then before we open it up to board members' questions, does the administration have anything that they want to specifically point out to the board regarding anything that was said there that you think may be of interest to the board at this point in time, not only regarding the finances that Mr. Levin just went over, but also the particulars of the construction, et cetera, that was covered by the other gentleman? Did anybody in the administration want to clarify or follow up on any of that that you think might be of personal interest to the board?
Mr. I'm not sure who else knows the microphone is on because there's an echo there. Okay. Thank you, Alan and Rob, for that presentation. I just want to reiterate what we've known since the very beginning is the fact that we have a tight budget to complete this project. And so within that tight budget, the team has really done an outstanding job to try to find the best way to complete this project without having to really cut corners and give us, the bare bones of a building. So we keep working. We meet once a week to discuss the progress involved. So as far as the budget is, that's just a concern. We're just hoping and that the funding allows us to do everything we want to do. In talking about the furniture that Alan mentioned, obviously we are selecting, they gave us some options in selecting some furniture that is nice enough to have, but it's going to have, very simplistic features inside of the classrooms. And so the other factor that I think Rob mentioned is because of the structure and the location of where this is going to be done, it took up some of those fields, some of those practice fields in the back of the gym area, and refiguring that area so that there could still be some practice fields left so that we can have, baseball and soccer practices and things like that. And so that was an area that we kind of struggled with. How do we make a big enough practice field area and still be able to build what is needed in order for the classroom size and expansion of this building project. So I don't know if you have anything, Cesar, other than what I just said.
Just to add to what Mrs. Samaniego said, just so the board members, just a little refresher, because I know we talked about this at the beginning of the project a few months ago, and Mrs. Selchow is new. So the whole project, the SFB gave us $16,509,002 to build an 87,502 square feet building, which gave us roughly a cost of $188.67 per square foot, which is way, way, way below to the average of what a building should be at this point. And that's what Alan was referring to when he's saying that we're hoping that the SFB will go back and reconsider and probably give us a little bit more money. He also mentioned the additional $3 million that the SFB or the governor had set aside for additional land for this project, that we're hoping that the SFB in the end will add to the total project. And that's all I have, unless you guys have any specific questions.
Okay, I just quickly, I just want to ask, all of the numbers and the specifications we're giving on what the expended revenues from SFB are going to be, correct? In other words, if there's a shortfall in that allocation, then the district, in conjunction with these gentlemen, is working on what the priorities would be?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're muted, Mr. Burbank.
I'm sorry. Members of the board, do you have any question? Now, this was an extensive and kind of under awkward situations presentation, but it was good. It was very informative. And of course, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more questions, but so for your personal information now, board members, do you have any specific questions you want to ask now? Dr. Gomez, I'll start with you.
Yes, this is for Mr. Levin. Why is it that you have to send it to the county health department, the plan?
I'm actually going to defer on that one. Rob, if you would care to handle that one, if you don't mind. That's more an architectural question.
Yeah, Mr. Gomez, we're building a new kitchen. And so the county health, Cochise County Health regulates food service. And so we're required to do that. And remember, we're going to be putting, now we have, one thing we're going to be mentioning is we have in our budget about $300,000 for new kitchen equipment as well to supplement the things that we're going to be bringing from the other facility over. So we're going to have an all brand new kitchen with new hood, things like that. So that has to be reviewed by them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Ramos, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, I asked it at the beginning when we were discussing to go this route, are local contractors going to be given a chance to bid on some of these projects?
That's absolutely a valid point. Thanks for bringing that up. We did literally try and get several of the local folks to bid. And I think, unfortunately, we don't have anybody that was actually nominated as a select qualified bidder in Douglas. But what we're going to be doing is holding a job fair as soon as we've selected a contractor. And at the job fair, we'll go out and look extensively for as many people as we can, subcontractors and other folks that we can bring onto the job.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Ramos, thank you. Ms. Salchow.
This question is for Anna. During the building, where will these teams be practicing? Will they have different locations in the district, or will they already have a space designated at that time?
And that is a very good question that we have, and I don't have the exact answer for you right now. As we progress in this a project, and we definitely know that we're going to have a starting date for starting construction, and then when we're going to end, we're going to have to look at alternatives for their practice fields. And at this point, I don't know exactly what months or what sports or where, but we are going to have to look for those spaces. Cesar, unless you have discussed this with the gentleman at one of the meetings that I haven't been at.
No, we haven't discussed about that yet, because we don't know when the construction is going to start and when it's going to end. So we don't know what sports is going to affect at that specific time.
Yeah, let me just chime in on that for just a second. We're going to be tearing the field out. Will be the very first thing that'll happen, and so the north field is going to have to be dug down for retention area for water retention. So that'll be one of the first activities that are done on the project. Once that activity is done and completed, then we'll be able to come back and reseed that field. That takes about 6 months to reseed a field. So we're probably going to be losing the fall But hopefully we'll have by spring of the 22 year, we'll have that field up and operational for JV and freshman activities, as well as gym. So we're probably going to be looking at a semester where that we can have it ready to go, but we won't have the budget to sod it. So we're going to have to probably seed it, and it takes time to do that. It takes about 6 months to get a field in shape.
Okay, Ms. Salchow, does that answer your questions?
Yes, it does. But I had one more. I just wanted to tell the architects I really like the plans and the way that you're using very modern things to bring up for our students. I really like them.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Mr. Lindeman, do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, thank you. I had a couple of questions that came to my mind. One we talked about at the very beginning of the project, and I was just wondering, it has to do with permitting from the city, and you did touch on that a little bit. So I was just wondering if that's still a hang-up of some sort. And then my other question was, I do believe that the COVID virus is going to be with us now, and everyone's talking about ventilation. So I want to make sure that our project is going to be covered all that ventilation aspects. Thank you.
Let me tell you about we've had conversation with Douglas about reduced plan review fees and reduced impact fees. So we've been talking with them all along. We haven't been able to resolve that. We were hoping that there would be some abatement on fees because those are all going towards the kids. So that's all money that has to go out. And so there was those discussions that had happened. We are going to, we have looked at the outside air requirements, which is one of the things that the recommendations from CDC are talking about, which is about bringing more fresh air into the building. And we're going to have that on this. So we are compliant with the new requirements for outside air requirements. So we'll be able to provide that fresh air intake for each classroom and each space.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lindeman. Okay, with that then, gentlemen, thank you again for that presentation. And as always, you individuals work on a daily basis or whenever you need to intermittently with the administration, and they're the ones that, of course, are your first contact. And if anything needs you to come back to this board, then of course the administration will do that. So we thank you again for your time, and we hope that it wasn't an awkward situation for you. The presentation was good, and we're looking forward to good things. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks, Alan and Ron.
Okay, we're moving on now. Ms. Valenzuela, do we have any public comments?
Yes, we have one.
Go ahead.
I would request permission to address the governing board on the following item. I wanted to thank and share with you the opportunities U of A and Dr. Chad Nicholson gave the band a week ago in a virtual event on Saturday, February the 20th. Many students were invited to various sessions, including video games, in performing arts, along with Disney music. Very well done. I also wanted to thank the Marine Band and Gunnery Sergeant Shannon Hewitt, who did an amazing job yesterday, putting on a free clinic in the Google Classroom with all of my clarinet players. Students were inspired by their stories and pictures from playing in the president's own band and traveling to Japan. It is March, and that means it's Music in Our School Month. Please help in promoting all grade levels of student opportunities next week with the Grammy Awards Foundation free workshops. This gives a great opportunity over spring break for some to participate in some great music opportunities with some of the best music artists around the world. And this is with www.grammyintheschools.com programs. Thank you for your time and consideration. Band Director, Mr. Darris.
Okay, thank you for that. Moving right along to item number 2, consent agenda. Approval of the following consent agenda items, payroll and expense vouchers 1, 2, and 3 as listed. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve the consent agenda items.
By Mr. Lindeman, is there a second?
Second.
Second.
By Mr. Ramos. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Ramos,
Yes.
Ms. Salcha,
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann,
Yes.
Dr. Gomez,
Yes.
Mr. Bering.
Yes. Item 3, discussion action on the approval of certified hires. Ms. Samaniego or Ms. Cox, either one.
As presented, we have, you'll see on here, 2 math teachers. This is for the following school year. And several emergency substitute teachers. As we will be opening up schools for in-person learning, we will need a sub-pool.
I'm sorry, I was muted. Entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve the certified hires.
Thank you, Mr. Lindeman. Second?
Second.
By Mr.
Mr.
Ramos.
Ramos.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Ramos,
Yes.
Ms. Salcha,
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann,
Yes.
Dr. Gomez,
Yes.
Mr. Bering.
Yes. Item B, discussion action on the approval of classified hires. Ms. Samaniego.
Yes, as presented, as Mrs. Cox said, we are filling in some of the vacancies that we've had for quite some time. And so these are 6 classified, or about 7 classified positions.
Entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve the certified hires.
By Mr. Lindeman. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Salchow. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Ramos,
Yes.
Ms. Salcha,
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann,
Yes.
Dr. Gomez,
Yes.
Mr. Bering.
Yes. Item C, discussion action on approval of athletic hires. Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, these are coaches, assistant coaches.
Entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve the athletic hires.
Thank you, Mr. Lindeman. Is there a second?
Second.
By Ms. Salchow. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Ramos,
Yes.
Ms. Salcha,
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann,
Yes.
Dr. Gomez,
Yes.
Mr. Bering.
Yes. Item D, discussion action on the approval of certified retirements. Ms. Samaniego.
Yes, as 2 teachers are an effective retirement of the end of next school year. And we are very sad that in a year we will be losing 2 great teachers, Mr. Mariscal, Oscar Mariscal, who I believe is very young still, and Mr. Tony Young, who also is very young to retire. So that will be for end of May 22.
Entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve the certified retirement.
Is there a second?
I second.
By Ms. Salchow. Before we call for the question, Ms. Samaniego, and you're right about everything you said about both those teachers, both outstanding teachers, going to be great losses to the district. Mr. Mariscal, he was an outstanding coach. He contributed so much to the athletic program over the years, himself being a great athlete. And we want to let the record show that we accept both those with regrets. Roll call.
Mr. Ramos,
Yes.
Ms. Salcha,
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann,
Yes.
Dr. Gomez,
Yes.
Mr. Bering.
Yes. Item E, discussion action on the approval of classified resignations and retirement. Ms. Samaniego?
And I'd like to take this opportunity and recognize Mrs. Mary Perez, who's been with our district for 18 years. And she is one of our LEP testers in the curriculum and federal programs. And Miss Mary is extremely appreciated and feel grateful for retiring in June of this year. And also
Entertain a motion to approve.
Elaine Frisbee.
I move to approve.
Second.
Dr. Gomez. You're muted, Mr. Breen.
I'm trying to do this right. I'm sorry. Any discussion? You know, I want to point out that when individual board members, especially, have personal comments because of their history or knowledge of certain individuals, that's certainly welcome to make those comments in appreciation to our staff. The fact that we don't get in deeper into some of the employees is because maybe their tenure with the district hasn't been that long. But you take somebody like Ms. Samaniego just pointed out again, Ms. Pettis, she's been with the district, I think you said 30 years, Anna?
It's 18 years. 18 years.
So anyway, I just wanted to editorialize that a little bit, that we're not minimizing the other ones that are retiring or whatever the case might be. It's just that we happen to have more information, and they probably, the tenure has been a little bit longer. All right, do we have a motion on the floor, Alma?
Yes, sir.
Roll call.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Breen?
Yes, item F, discussion action on the approval of classified transfers. Ms. Samaniego?
As presented, Mr. Brain, as you know, our payroll specialist 2 will be retiring at the end of April. And so we have an internal transfer in that department, and also a vacancy in school security at the outside.
Entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve the transfers.
Thank you, Mr. Lindemann. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Salchow. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Breen?
Yes. Item G, discussion action on the approval of increase in hours. Ms. Samaniego?
As presented, these are correctional IAs that are being recommended for an increase of a half hour. And they are leaving 3 vacancy positions, the part-time positions.
Okay, entertain a motion, get it on the floor for discussion.
I move to approve.
Mr. Lindemann, is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Any discussion, board members? Do you want to, those increase in hours are due to specifically what, Ms. Samaniego, again?
And these are vacancies, right, Mrs. Cox?
Yes, they are vacancies that we've had since the beginning of the year. And so we're going to just fill them, which are going to leave other positions now. Now their positions will be open.
Okay, that's just for board information. All right. Motion on the floor, roll call.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Breen?
Yes, item H, discussion action on the approval of requests to rescind certified retirements. Ms. Samaniego?
As presented, we have Maria Vea and a teacher at RBMS and Mr. Young who have requested to rescind their retirement. And we are gladly accepting it and making this recommendation.
You're muted, Mr. Breen.
Entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Mr. Ramos?
Thank you. Yes, we'll echo that, Ms. Samaniego, especially Mr. Young with the building that's going on and all of the pertinent and important information he has regarding that CTE program. Notwithstanding also his very important role he plays at that high school, so we appreciate and look forward to seeing him back, as well as Maria Rea. Entertain motion. We have a motion on the floor.
Yes.
Roll call.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Bering?
Yes, item I, discussion action on the approval of donations received for Douglas Unified School District number 27. Ms. Samaniego?
As presented, this is a $5,000 donation from APS to Joe Carlson Elementary.
Entertain a motion to approve
I move to approve.
by Mr. Lindemann, the Sergeant at Arms. Is there a second?
I second.
By Ms. Salchow. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Bering?
Yes, item J, discussion action on the approval of certified contract renewals for the 2021-2022 school year. Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, and these are all of our certified staff that have gone through the evaluation process and being recommended for a contract renewal. Notice that there are no amounts attached to this list. This is just the list for you to approve in order for us to start working on contracts.
Entertain a motion to approve
I move to approve
by Mr. Lindemann. Thank you,
I
Mr. Lindemann. Second by Ms. Salchow. Any discussion? Let's just quickly say that, and I'm going to be redundant, but what we said earlier during the business report, that in light of everything that's happened this year, and everybody's been inconvenienced, everybody's had to go the extra mile, but our teachers, in a very non-traditional manner, had to do a lot of adjusting, and we certainly want to, if we can, and we mentioned to Mr. Soto earlier, and I think I speak on behalf of the whole board, we certainly want to do every single thing we can for them in recognition of what they've done. The preparation is unbelievable, what they had to go through and what they're enduring. And that's not eliminating or not considering the rest of our staff, but teachers are the frontline people, the ones that do the presentation and do the instruction. All right, so we have a motion on the floor, Alma.
Yes, sir.
Roll call.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Bering?
Yes, item K, discussion action on the approval of the 2021-22 Douglas Unified School District calendar. Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, governing board members, and this is our proposed calendar for the 21-22 school year, and the information that is, for your information, is what is on the background. The first day of school would start August the 5th, and we are proposing a Wednesday early release instead of a Thursday as we've had in other years past. I think the input from the calendar committee was really important in reference to the early release days. They felt that Wednesday was a good midpoint for the week instead of having that Thursday. So it is 180 days of instruction with the first day of school on August the 5th, and the last day would be May 25th for students, May 26th for teachers. I'm not sure if you have any questions.
Let's get it on the floor. Mr. Lindemann, would you make that motion, please?
Yes, I move to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Ms. Salchow. Discussion.
No discussion.
No discussion at all regarding any questions? Good. Roll call.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Bering?
Yes, discussion action on the approval of waiving the preschool tuition for remainder of school year. Ms. Samaniego?
Yes, I'm going to defer this to Mr. Soto as soon as I just give you a little bit of background information. As you know, the board approved to waive the preschool tuition for this school year because we were not in person. So as long as we remained online, preschool kids would not have to pay the tuition. As we look at our community and the situation for many of our families and the impact that this school year has had on the children, we are making a recommendation that the tuition be waived for the students that will be attending in person for the 1 quarter that they will be there. Mr. Soto has numbers for you to get as far as how many students have decided to attend in person, how much money this would impact, and what would this mean by not charging these kids for the rest of the school year.
Thank you, Ms. Amaniego. It's like she said, we have 3 months to go, the last quarter, and we were charging a fee of $60 per month per student. It has been reported by Ms. Katie Walker, who's in charge of preschool, that so far we had 52 students planning on showing up and attending to every day to preschool. So what brings us to roughly $9,360 loss of revenue. And I'm saying loss of revenue because of course we're not going to be getting that tuition. But I want to remind the board members that all of those teacher salaries and IA salaries that are in preschool, they are encumbered in M&O anyways. So it's already an expenditure that I have encumbered regardless. Of course, the $9,360 will kind of help out on buying supplies and stuff like that, but it won't affect any kind of salaries for the teachers or IAs whatsoever.
But, that's a good point you made, Mr. Soto. Just for the board's information, that tuition didn't come anywhere near paying for those teacher salaries anyway.
Correct. That's correct.
And then the origin of the recommendation came from Mrs. Walker. Did it come from her department?
Yes, it did, Mr. Brain. And obviously, we've had an extensive conversation about, charging and how much money we would bring in and the circumstances of this distance learning plan. And so, yes, she did recommend, and I support her recommendation.
And just for informational purposes as well, that particular program doesn't guarantee continuity of attendance in the district, but having that program, especially with the competitiveness of some of the other schools in the area, generally when they start, they generally continue with those schools. So I think that's a good move. Entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve for the benefit of the community.
Is there a second?
I second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Ms. Sacha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Burry?
Yes. Item M, discussion action on the approval of the first reading of policy GCO, evaluation of professional staff members. Ms. Samaniego.
Yes, governing board members. This is, our attorney just made one change. If you see there's no major change in the policy other than the wording of that third line. So the recommendation is to that line to say the governing board authorizes the superintendent to issue preliminary notices of inadequacy of classroom performances, as opposed to the superintendent is authorized to issue preliminary notices of inadequacy of classroom performance prior to governing board approval. So she just switched the wording. That's it. There's no major change.
Entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve.
By Mr. Lindemann. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Gomez. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Ms. Sacha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Burry?
Yes. Item 4, discussion for future agenda items. Members of the board? Before we have, no, we've got announcements, so go ahead, Ms. Samaniego.
Yes, just a reminder that spring break is March 8th through the 12th. So all of the school buildings will be closed. District office obviously will remain open. Next regular board meeting is April the 6th. And a reminder to those parents that selected the in-person option, that will begin on March 15th.
Okay, thank you very much. And again, board members, thank you very much. I think we're getting better as we go along. And we'll see you soon. Probably the next board meeting is, if we don't have a special meeting in the interim, would be what, Ms. Samaniego?
If we don't have a special board meeting, it is April the 6th.
Thank you guys very much. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
By Mr. Lindeman, second.
Second.
Second by Dr. Gomez. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.